There we are. Now we're recording. So again, my name is Noah. I'm one of the educators with Shortcuts. And on today's classroom session, we're actually going to talk about how to merge clients in Shortcuts. So this is a basic tutorial, and you should hopefully already be familiar with your Shortcuts client card. And this is going to show you one of the features in the system. So this webinar is going to be about 20 minutes. We are going to allow some time for questions at the end. We are recording this presentation, so in case you have to drop out early, we will send you a copy of this recording later. And of course, you can always be watching this recording after the fact. And if you have any questions, you do have the ability to reach out to us. So let's jump right into it. So of course, in Shortcuts, you already know that you have the ability to record client details, client contact details, names, phone numbers, addresses, emails, things like that. And in the client card, you of course have the ability to put in additional notes, such as a quick note on family or a note on their actual visit. Do they have a color formula? Do they have a certain style of haircut that they like? Do they have a favorite employee? Do they have a birthday coming up? So these are all individual things that you can record for customers, things that you're going to be capturing over years and visits and the number of visits from your clients. So with all of that said, excuse me, looks like there's a street sweeper going by. So with all of that said, you may potentially end up with duplicate clients, whether you accidentally added a duplicate or a front desk or another employee accidentally added a duplicate, or perhaps because you didn't have online services previously, online booking or self-check-in, and the customer created a new client profile, and now you have two versions, their original online profile plus the one that you had created for them in your own business. So when that happens, you want to start merging these duplicate clients just so that your system is performing optimally. It's, in a sense, it speeds it up. So how does client merge work? How do you search for clients? How do you merge it? What are your best practices? So let's actually go through the steps, and this will help speed up the performance of your shortcut system. So, of course, duplicates end up slowing down your computer. So we want to make sure that we preserve an original client card and that any important information from the duplicate card, perhaps the duplicate has an updated phone or email address, or they have some visit notes that you want to preserve. How exactly do we preserve that if we're merging these cards and eliminating duplicates? So we're going to talk about that. And of course, this is going to optimize your database. This is going to speed up your system. And this is going to speed up the searches when you search through client cards. So we're going to go through the steps. So the first thing you always want to do is whenever you merge clients, wait until the end of your business day. Usually, you actually do this after you close out your register for the day. So if you have an end of day process, you pay your tips out to your staff, you count your professional products, you close out your register. After you do all of that, that is when you would merge your clients. You never want to run a client merge in the middle of your business day because you run the risk of losing information from clients that are currently being processed. So their actual histories, their visits, whatever is happening right then and there, you don't want to accidentally get rid of the wrong client. So do this at the end of the day. And the steps are pretty straightforward. The picture that you see on the right is actually something that you would repeat. So whether you just have a few dozen customers that you want to merge, or in the case of one of the databases I was helping with previously, I had an academy, a school that uses shortcuts, and they actually had thousands and thousands of duplicate clients because for whatever reason, every time a customer came in, even if it was a repeat customer, the students would create a brand new client profile for them, a brand new client card. So they ended up with hundreds of entries for the same person. So let's go through the steps. So let's actually exit out of. There we go. So let's exit out and let's go into shortcuts. So again, you want to do this at the end of each day. And you do not necessarily want to merge every possible client that you have. Because if we're talking about hundreds or even thousands of duplicate customers, you're going to be on your computer for hours and hours and hours on end trying to merge them all. That's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is perhaps merge a dozen every day, and then the following day, just repeat the process. So a dozen every day, over a few weeks, you'll have caught up with hundreds of potential duplicates. So let's go through the steps. On the right side, we're going under Main to our Clients button. And once we're on the Client screen, on the right side, we're going to Merge. Now, you may have a list of duplicate customers that Shortcuts has found previously. Ignore this list. At the end of each day, I want you to do these steps fresh every night. So ignore this window, and instead, on the bottom left corner, you're going to search for duplicates. So Shortcuts will say, okay, I'm going to clear this list and help you search for new duplicates. So when you're searching for duplicates, I always start with the first two checkboxes. I want to look for customers that seem to have the same first and same last name. I'm not necessarily focused on phone numbers or email addresses. Also, when I'm searching for duplicates for the very first time, I'm searching from 0 to 3 months ago, the most recent duplicate clients. So once I choose that, first name, last name, 0 to 3 months, then I press the search button. So Shortcuts will try to find me those clients that match the criteria. And here they are, about 18, 19 clients. Let me press done. Now Shortcuts is actually going to tell you what you're supposed to do. But instead of having the system tell you, I'm going to show you. So I'll press done. So on the left side, Shortcuts is going to give me a list of customers that seem to have the same first and last name. So it thinks they're duplicates. And then it's going to give me a column that says master and merge. Master is what Shortcuts thinks is the original, the main client card for this customer. So this is the original customer. So Elizabeth, Sashi, Ariana. So these are the first entries that it found. And then Shortcuts is asking, okay, since these two seem to be the same, the second one, am I allowed to merge the customer information from number 2 up to the master? Now, the reason I just don't go down the list and click this checkbox for all of those is because there may be information that I want to preserve. So maybe the address or the phone number or even email exists in the duplicate, but not in the original. So if that happens, now let me scroll through the list because I may have one. Here we are. So Lynn Connors, we have her phone number from the MasterCard, but the second one, the duplicate, has her address, has her email. So if I were to just merge these by clicking this checkbox, I would lose the address and I would lose the email. I want to save those. So before I merge them, I'm going to right-click on the address for the duplicate, and I'm going to tell Shortcuts, well, this information or this email right here, I want to copy this to the master. So I want to push this address up to the master. Yes, I do want to update that. What about the email? I'm going to right-click and say copy the email up to the master as well. I can even do that for the phone number. So if there was a home number, a mobile number, a work number in the duplicate, I can also right-click and copy any phone numbers from the duplicate up to the master. So now that I've done that, now if I press the merge button, Shortcuts will combine both of the Lynn Connors profile cards and only have one. So what happens to the history? Because the original Lynn has one visit history, which may have notes, which may have details on there, And the second, the duplicate, also has a visit. So of course, there may be history notes in here as well. What shortcuts will do is it will actually combine both of these histories, so you'll have two once the card is complete, and any notes that were placed in the visit notes and the history notes for that second will also be included. So I don't necessarily have to right click and merge this or push this up to the master. Shortcuts will automatically add this to the original master. So as I'm going through the list, I'm confirming phones, addresses, and saying, yes, indeed, these do look like the same person. So of course, you want to be careful when you're going through this because you may have 10 or 11 John Smiths and they are all individual actual customers that you have called John Smith. So that's why you want to review these and be careful about them. But if you know absolutely, oh, these are two of the same customer, let me merge these. Now, you may have a database that has something like this. So star actually has two different groups. This first group, where her name seems to be duplicated 3 times, and a second group, where her name seems to be duplicated 2 more times. So it's possible that one was made in person and an employee or receptionist created 2 additional cards. The second one was made online, and then an employee also created another duplicate. So when you have to deal with a case like this, you're going to merge one group at a time. So I'm going to say, notice I'm unchecking star on the second group. And excuse me for a second. I have to hang up on that phone. So I'm going to tell shortcuts, ignore the second group. I'm only going to merge this first group. This first group is star. Tomorrow, when I do my next search, then I'm going to focus on merging the second group. Eventually, both groups of star that star currently has will then show up under one group or one name. So don't be put off if you see something like this. Just uncheck one of the masters and focus on just one of these groups. So you'll go through the list. You'll go through each master, you'll go through each duplicate, and you'll tell shortcuts, I want to merge this one, I want to merge this one. If there's one you're not sure about, if there's one you have to check with your staff, check with your receptionist, then if you uncheck master and the merge one is not checked, shortcuts is going to skip that. So for Kayla, if I wanted to double check to see, is this Kayla information right? I don't want to merge them by accident. I just uncheck that and shortcuts will skip this customer. So then I'm going to go through Lisa, and perhaps I want to copy Lisa's information up to the master. Absolutely. Now I can merge these. So I would do about a dozen each night. And then once I've done about a dozen, I would then tell shortcuts, okay, ignore the rest. I'm not going to worry about the rest of these customers right now. So I'll uncheck all of this. And once I've unchecked the ones I'm not focusing on right now, and you can imagine at your business, if you've had shortcuts for a few years, you may potentially have hundreds of people. So again, don't try to merge them all in one night. Do a dozen, do 2 dozen, and uncheck the rest. Leave those alone. So once I'm done, on the bottom right, I'm going to press merge. And shortcuts will ask me, are you sure you want to merge these? Because you're going to lose information if you haven't pushed it up to the master card. So I'll say, yes, I'm okay. I know what I'm doing. I'm ignoring the ones that I'm not ready to merge tonight. So I'll say, yes, go ahead and merge them. So shortcuts is actually going to exit out of all your terminals. So if you're a salon or a shop that has 2 or 3 terminals, those are all going to exit. And even the main shortcuts that you're using, once the merge is complete, is also going to exit. So don't be alarmed that once you do this, if shortcuts exits on you, it's by design. That's letting you know, okay, your database has been cleaned up. It is now safe to reopen shortcuts. So shortcuts is doing that right now. There it is. And once it's done, then I would relaunch Shortcuts. So we'll give Shortcuts a moment to open up again. So let's actually repeat the steps. So the merge that I just did, let's pretend that's what I did last night. So today, at the end of today's trading day, I check out all my professional products, I pay out my tips to my staff, I close down the register. Now I'm ready to merge. So I'll return to the Clients button. I'll return to the Merge button. And remember, always do a fresh search each night. I'm searching by first name and last name, 0 to 3 months ago. And I'm going to search. So Shortcuts will find me a new group of customers. And it'll say, okay, who do you want to merge today? Okay, we're going to merge Kayla. We're going to do Courtney right now, Kathleen, and I'm just going to go down the list. And remember, so Bal here. Bal has an address. I want to push it up to the master, so I'll right click, copy to the master. Right click on the email, copy to the master. So now it's safe to merge them. Same thing with Nancy. And again, I choose about a dozen of these. Once I've copied their information over, and I would tell Shortcuts, okay, well, since I'm almost done here, let's go ahead and close it out. So these are all safe to merge. So I'll finish merging them. Shortcuts will say, okay, let me exit out of all your other terminals. Let me perform the merge and exit out of Shortcuts. So now that I've merged all of the customers that had duplicate information from 0 to 3 months ago, what do I do the next night? So the next night, I actually want to broaden that window. I want to expand how many days am I searching for? Because it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And again, if you've been using Shortcuts for a number of years, you may have thousands of duplicate clients. That's why I always say, start with 0 to 3 months ago. Do a little bit every day for the next few weeks, and you'll get caught up in no time. Once you clear that group of customers, you want to broaden your window. So this is, let's say, my third night. So I've just spent 2 days cleaning up my list for 0 to 3 months. So on the third night, after I close my register, I'll go back to merge. I'll do a brand new search, but this time I'm going to search 3 to 6 months ago. So my window gets a little bit broader. And Shortcuts finds me an entirely new group of customers to search through, to merge, and to make sure their contact information is correct. So after a couple of nights, I'll have 3 to 6 months taken care of. So then every night, once you finish a group, you'll want to go down and continue going down through your list. So at some point, you're going to get all the way to the very bottom. Okay, now that I've merged clients for 3-month increments, I just want to search through the entire year. Is it possible that I missed anybody in more than a year? If so, then let's go ahead and search. And then Shortcuts is going to give me a very big list of clients. So you can imagine this is probably why you do not want to start with 12 months. Start with smaller batches. 0 to 3, 3 to 6, etc., etc. But eventually, if you're diligent about this, then you will have hundreds, potentially thousands of duplicates merged at the end of a few weeks. And then all you really have to do moving forward is make it part of your weekly close down procedure. So perhaps every Friday night, every Saturday night, whoever closes the register at the end of the week, they will just check for any new duplicates that you have. So let's cancel that. So let's go back to the presentation. So being diligent, repeating the process every day, that's going to help speed up your database. But there are a few other things that you can do. So you probably have clients that haven't visited you in a few years. So you don't need necessarily their information just in your database, slowing down your searches. So you can actually inactivate those clients. And the way that it works is whenever you exit Shortcuts, you may be prompted to run system maintenance. When you press Run Now, any customers past a certain year will now be deactivated so that your searches go faster. So let's go back one and let's talk about how to do that. So again, in Shortcuts, if you've been using Shortcuts for a few years and you just want to inactivate those old customers, I want you to go to Setup Configuration, and on the left side, we're going to General, and once we're under General, we're going to Data Privacy. So the second line, remove non-returning clients after, and this is if they have no new history notes, no new visit information after, let's say, 2 or 3 years. Then Shortcuts is going to search through my database, find those old clients, make them inactive. So I'll press Done, and Shortcuts will say, okay, in order for this to work, then you may have to restart, or the next time you go to Main and exit from Shortcuts, on this window where it says Exit Shortcuts, it may potentially have a button that says Run Your Maintenance. So when you do that, that's when Shortcuts is going to start eliminating those duplicates. So that's this window that I'm talking about. Run Now. That's the screen that you should see. So you should see that every few weeks. When you go to Exit Shortcuts, a Run Now window. So press that button, and that will help optimize your database. Now for the customers that are using online booking, you should know that whenever a customer makes an appointment for online booking or for self-check-in, the very first time they do that, they actually are creating a brand new client card. So even though they may have visited your location in the past, Shortcuts doesn't necessarily know they're a new customer or an existing customer. So that's why it always says you're creating a new client card. Once that appointment is in the books, and I'll use a placeholder one. So I'll scroll through my list of pretend customers. There we go. And I'll choose Michael here. So Michael comes in, or Michael makes an appointment online. This is the first time Michael has done that. Whenever Michael makes an appointment online the first time, and we'll just do haircut here. So the first time an appointment is made online, it actually shows up in yellow. So Shortcut says, okay, Michael A booked an appointment online, here it is. Now, if Michael was an existing customer and Shortcuts is searching for duplicates, when a staff member right-clicks on an online appointment and they go to review it, if Shortcuts detects that this Michael looks exactly like an existing Michael, same name, same email, same phone number, I think they're the same customer. So when that happens, when you go to review it, Shortcuts will actually give you a pop-up window and ask you, this customer looks identical to an existing customer. Would you like to merge this client here and now? So that is actually the safe time to do it when your system is live. So when you go to review it, if you get that pop-up window, go ahead and choose the existing client that matches and then press merge. And then the next time Michael makes an appointment online, it will remember, oh, this is your existing customer. I no longer have to create any more duplicates. So keep that in mind. Right-click, review, and merge the clients then and there if Shortcuts recommends it. If your staff is not sure if somebody's made an appointment online, or you want to see lists of appointments that were made online, because of course, we may be looking at today's appointment book, but you don't know somebody has made an appointment for Thursday or Friday or even next week. So on the bottom left corner, you have a filter button. And if you tell Shortcuts, show me any appointments that require review, those are all the appointments that were made online. So Shortcuts will actually give you a list. There was one made this day, and this day. And you can click on those days under the bottom left corner where it says awaiting review. and Shortcuts will take you to that specific appointment. And that's your chance to right-click, review it, and merge a live client. So back to the presentation. So those are some basics on how to merge, how to search for merges, and how to turn that into your end-of-day procedure. So hopefully you caught the front end of this presentation. If not, no worries. We will be sending out a link to those that were attending late, and you'll be able to follow up with how to search and how to resolve those duplicates. And of course, doing this speeds up your system. So there's always an advantage to that. Cleaning up your list, keeping your computer running smoothly. So now we're going to open up the floor for questions. So on the right side, if you're on our GoToWebinar, you should have a chat or a questions bar. Go ahead and go there. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type it out. And I'm going to open up the window on my side so I can see. And I'll give you a moment in case you're just writing down some notes. Give that a second. And I don't think I have any questions. Nobody's raised their hand. Okay, if there are no questions, or if you're watching this video after the fact and you have a question, oh, wait a minute. Andy just came in with a question. Perfect timing. All right, so let's take a look at Andy's question. So Andy says, do you need certain permissions? So if you want to do a client merge, do you need certain permissions? Good question. Yes, you actually do. So searching for clients, merging clients is not something that everybody has access to. If you want to give that to your front desk, to your manager, then under setup configuration, this goes for any security setting in Shortcuts, any permission. If you go to setup configuration, on the left side, you're going to go to general and security. So remember, in Shortcuts, there's usually 4 default levels of security: owner, manager, employee, receptionist. When you go to the access tab up at the very top and you choose that level, let's say receptionist, on the right side, it says, what are they allowed to do? So there's actually a client's permission. What permissions do they have in the client card? Do they have access to client merge? Yes or no? So review this. If you want to give somebody permission or a certain level permission, that's where you would do it. Okay. All right, Sherry has a question. If you already have a client with all their information filled in, but the new client card doesn't have the info, if you merge, will the information transfer over? So let's actually try to answer that one. So Sherry, let's say we're doing a search right now. I'm going to do a merge, and I'm going to do 3 to 6 months. So let's pretend the second one, Michelle Baker, didn't have a phone, didn't have an email, maybe had a visit, maybe had 2 visits, whatever the case is. If I merge them, I am not going to overwrite my original, the master, with blank information. So it's not like if there was no address or no phone number, that blank would overwrite the existing phone number. That's not how it works. So down here, for example. So Karen Klein, this duplicate Karen Klein, has a completely different mobile number than the master Karen Klein. If I tell Shortcuts, merge these 2 Karens, what it's going to do is it's going to keep the original mobile number and it's going to get rid of the duplicate number. So that's why it's important when you're reviewing these cards, make sure that if there's something in the duplicate you want to preserve, you right click and you tell Shortcuts. And here's an example, Janet. Janet's duplicate card actually has an email I want to preserve. So to save it, I have to right click on that duplicate and copy it up to the master. That way, when I merge the cards, I do not lose that information. So remember, the other thing that gets saved is their history. So that duplicate history, the duplicate history notes for the second Janet will get pushed up to the main Janet card. And the next time I search for Janet, it'll say number of visits 2. So that's how you're saving the right information. All right. Does that answer your question, Sherry? Excellent. Okay. Are there any other questions with regards to today's topic? And again, if you're watching this video after the fact, later today or tomorrow or even next week, if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to us. Reach out to our customer care team. Oh, Andy has one more question. What about the same person, same phone number? So let's go back. So as you're searching, so remember, when we're searching, I told Shortcuts, just try to find customers that have a match on first and last name. Not necessarily same phone number, same email. That's why I leave the 4 choices up here. I uncheck cell and email because there is a possibility that mom or dad is the one that is using their email or their phone number when their kids create an account. So that's why I tell Shortcuts, don't look for the same phone number because you may inadvertently end up merging a kid's or a family member's client card with their parents. So leave that alone. We're searching for customers that have the same name. Right? I hope that answers that question, Andy. So Andy's expanding on the question, and that is if there are numbers in the mobile field, but you don't know which one is right. So when that happens, and again, let's say Michelle Baker, well, this may be a common name, and I have one phone number, I'm not quite sure which is right. So rather than erasing or getting rid of the duplicate because I'm not sure, I'm going to uncheck master, and I'm going to tell Shortcuts, leave this customer alone. I need to review either with my staff or with the customer, which is the correct phone number or the correct email the next time they come in. So you're not forced to merge at the end of each day. You can tell Shortcuts, ignore these. I want to circle back to these later. Right? And let's say you want to call the customer then and there. Maybe it's early in the day, you have time to do that. You can absolutely choose either the original or the duplicate, go to the card, call up the customer, say, I just want to check, is this your phone number or is this your phone number? And you'll find out relatively easily which is the correct one. Then once you update the card, then absolutely, you can now choose the master and merge, and Shortcuts will ignore whatever was on the duplicate card. Now, Sherry has another question. Does the info you have in the message section transfer over? Good question, Sherry. This is a problem. This is a bad habit that a lot of salons, a lot of spas, and especially academies have. No. If you have important information in the message, if you have a color formula, a visit note, a favorite flavor of ice cream, whatever that is, that message will not transfer over. It's not going to go to the master. If it's important, if you want to preserve it, you manually have to copy it and then go up to the master and paste it into this card, into this profile. But more important than that, and this is a habit that a lot of businesses need to get out of. If there's something critical for the customer, don't put it in the message. Message is really designed just for the staff to know a little bit of information about this client. Maybe the message is something simple, like this customer has 2 kids that also get their haircut here. Or this customer is always 15 minutes late. Give them an extra 15 minutes when they make an appointment. That's general information. It doesn't show up on any report. It doesn't show up on any screen. It's not even exported. This is just general info for the staff. If it's important, instead, put it in the history. So under Notes at the bottom of the screen, if I press New and I put in a color formula, whatever it is, a critical piece of information, this history note will be saved and it will be pushed from the duplicate up to the master. It'll even include what the day's services were, what products they bought, important information, save it in the history notes, and that way they will be preserved. So message, just for the staff, not really critical information. Sherry also has a question. If the master has a home number and the new one has a mobile, will it transfer the mobile and also keep the home number? Good question. So the very first card I have here, Michelle Baker. The master has a mobile number. The duplicate has a home number. If I merge these two cards, I actually lose the home number. If I want to push the home number up to the master card, I have to right click and tell it copy whatever phone numbers are here up to the master. Since there are no mobile numbers and there are no work numbers in the duplicate card, it's going to ignore those. And instead, it will just copy the home number up to the master. So that's why it's always critical to review these before you merge them. If there's an address, a phone number, or an email you need to preserve from the duplicate card, then you need to right click and copy it up to the master before you merge them. Otherwise, you lose them. Okay, so Sherry says, so to keep both numbers, you need to copy and paste. Not necessarily. Because if the MasterCard, and again, the very first card I have here is Michelle, mobile is on her MasterCard, home is on her duplicate card. Let's say it was opposite. Let's say the second was actually the master. So I want to keep her home number, but I want to push her mobile number up to the MasterCard. So you notice on the left side, I actually told Shortcuts, the first card is not the master. The second card is actually the master. So the second card has a home number. I'm going to tell Shortcuts, right click, copy the phone number up to the master. So now it's going to push the mobile number up to the master before they're merged. So I hope that makes sense. So you don't have to physically copy and paste from this window, Sherry. You can just right click and tell Shortcuts, okay, I want to copy this home number or this mobile number up to the master. And there it is. So now the home number has been included. Now, when I merge them, I don't worry about losing that home number. It's been pushed up already. So just don't forget to copy those if you want to save them. Okay, so back to the presentation. So a lot of great questions this morning. Are there any other questions? And if you're watching this video after the fact and you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to us. You can reach out to our customer care team. You can even reach us on social media. So if you ask us a question on Facebook or on Instagram at Shortcuts USA, we will get back to you. All right. So thank you all for attending today's session. A lot of great questions here at the end. So I hope to see you for the next session next Tuesday. Thank you all for attending, and we will be sending out a copy of this recording a little bit later today. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe.